Hello everyone and welcome to Olsem Wanem. On March 6th and 7th of this year, a first of its kind event took place in Port Moresby. It was the PNG Women's Forum and was co-hosted by the US Embassy and the Department for Community and Development. Those that attended included women's groups and leaders, government, international and private sector representatives. In this episode, we show you some of the panel discussions that highlighted next generation of women's leaders, women's political participation, women's groups as agents of change for peace and security, and getting women into business. First, let's take a look at what was discussed for the next generation of women's leaders and just how significant is the contribution of PNG women in politics. These are some of the highlights in the discussion of the next generation of women leaders. The panelists speak about collective collaboration between men and women, young women breaking boundaries, leadership mentoring, the importance of networking, and overcoming challenges.
That it is through collective effort that we can move this country forward. And we also get them to see big picture. Where did we come from? Papua New Guinea, our past and our culture, our values, our traditions, where we are now, understanding the current situations we are now, what's happening in Papua New Guinea right now, and then looking into the future and seeing where do we want to be, how do we get there, and finding ourselves in that, and finding how that person, that individual can work together with his brother or his sister to get to that place.
I see that in PNG in all sectors, where there's no intergenerational leadership, because when you lead, there's no one behind you, and that's what the Wanem really believes in. Our constitutional mandate is that 25% of all decision-making be given to young women, which the definition is women 30 years and under. And so I think one of the big challenges for me is finding those mentors.
So far, what I've come across is that older women's, there's certain obstacles and blockages, and sometimes it's hard to let go of that position. And when a young woman comes in going, this is what I believe in, there's this blockage saying, no, you don't know what you're doing. I've been here for 15 years, so that's my main challenge.
For all the women who are now leaders, one way to mentor a young woman is just by the way you live your life. Your public appearance is one thing that will inspire us young women. And another thing would be that if, in terms of mentoring a young woman in whatever way you can, business or agriculture or politics, give her or him too a hands-on job to do, so that he or she can also learn for themselves, instead of just talking and encouraging. And mentoring is a continual process. It's not just a one-time thing where now we gather and then we talk and then you, all the women, talk to us younger women and then you let us go. That shouldn't be the case.
So balancing between my public service duty and youth work, I tend to wear several caps while performing my duties. Not only as a housewife, not only as a mother of 3 teenagers, not only as a public service officer, but also inspiring young people to be proactive. And I believe that networking, wearing various caps, and touching especially young people's lives.
The two things that can come to my mind when we talk about leadership is continuity and an issue of generation. But at the same time, there is still the cultural theme that holds you back. And that's what I mean by knowing that you have your potential and opportunities and strengths. You also take note of the challenges that are around you. To me, a leader is someone who is able to face the challenges and deal with them.
Another particularly powerful panel arrived when current and former female members of Parliament discussed and shared their challenges, motivations and success. Some of the significant comments are highlighted for you here.
My advice to the young people, it is very true what one of our panelists said. Those of us who come to this path, we must try and leave this place and support these young people. We are not supporting our young people. Whatever we say here, we just say them for the sake of saying, but in reality, we are not supporting our young people. They can't find where they can find somebody who will say, I'll show you what to do. Not only show you what to do, but like somebody said here, thank you, Minister, you have to be a leader, and a leader needs all the qualities that our people have talked about today. I think one of our ladies here talked about honesty. That's very, very important because our country is known as a country of corruption.
That's right.
And corruption there, here, and everywhere. Unfortunately, that's where we find ourselves. But it's the way you hold yourself, your personality towards talking with the people. I think you see how the things were demonstrated yesterday. I didn't even know that these women were already motivated to come out and show their appreciation. I think that's what we need.
For those aspiring young women that want to be politicians, you have got to be back in your electorate, live there. You cannot play this game, remote control, living in Port Moresby, and then you decide that you will be down there when they register candidates and you're going to come home. Cannot, will not work. You need to be there in your electorate. You need to be the face that is seen in your community.
During the height of this crisis, the Bougainville crisis, I was saving my people throughout Bougainville. People who were wounded came to the hospital, and I had that person to go out and provide little kinds of service to them, like giving them food, giving them clothes, giving them small amounts of money. And that continued throughout the restoration period. And before that, I was a political prisoner with my family from 1990 to 1991. So I think my passion came out from the kind of life that we went through during the height of the crisis. I'm an inspiration to you young women now who are sitting here. Sometimes, it takes situations to spark this thing that is in us, to spark the passion that is in us. Situations create those opportunities for us to come out and lead into uncharted futures.
I seem to be the voice of the women of the province, but when I contested in the 3 consecutive elections, in the 4th one, I witnessed and I saw that women never voted for a woman candidate. We now want to go back as a united voice after this conference now. We want to go back as a united voice. Yesterday the Prime Minister said, you plan Maria, that's all. Plan mouse, tumas, me plan harem. One plan mouse, so you meet Minister here and I go back. Me plan want to make him homework from 2017. Come 2017, sky is the limit. Everywhere by come here. I'm expecting in Eastern Highlands that there will be 3 more other women MPs who will follow with me, and I'll come back another second term. When I come back for the second term, I believe that there will be another 3 more women coming, and there will be 4 of us coming to the Parliament 2017, and I'm doing my homework now. Being the trailblazer, I have to now set that fire on flame now.
The next panel discussion covers a profound current issue in Papua New Guinea and the world, and that is the role of men and youth in combating gender-based violence. How can men and young people help to change the attitudes and actions of Papua New Guineans towards women?
I am one of those officers working for the Women's Program, and in the other centers as well, we've got, like I said earlier on, we've got 11 partners in 7 provinces, and all those program officers are all male. And we've even got a male, which is an M&E officer, he's a male, and our associate country director is also a male. That's the way forward we are looking at. If we want change, we have to have men taking the lead, taking ownership, taking responsibility. And if we are talking about addressing that and changing the mindset, the police has to be gender sensitized, the teachers and the education needs to be gender sensitized, or we integrate or we try to embed the agenda program in the education curriculum. So our kids in future, they should learn that from the very beginning in the classroom. And when they grow, I'm pretty sure we can achieve a better future for our children.
Breaking down this warrior mentality or big boy mentality, as we call it in Papua New Guinea, and helping men overcome the stigma of talking about family violence and men's issues. And just to display that, I'd like to get you to imagine for a second Joseph and Mary, a Papua New Guinean couple. The way we look at family violence is Joe is beating up Mary right now. Then tomorrow we tell the story, Joe beat up Mary, and as time goes by we say Mary got beat up by Joe. Mary got beat up. Mary is a battered woman. And by the end everyone forgot about Joe. Where's Joe now? Who is he committing violence to? Who is he raping, murdering? Who helped him heal? So our organization, and I'm sure it's similar to the other organizations here, are focused on the prevention side of things. Why don't we fund more the programs that help men stop in the first place and help them heal and transform themselves?
It's a small ripple in a big pond. That's what we believe in. Also with PNG Healing Foundation, most of the executives and the members are male, and they are young men, which we are mentoring. PNG we are mentors to PNG Healing Foundation, and I'm not sure if some of you distinguished ladies here have heard about Emeritus Professor Atkinson, Judy Atkinson. She's worked with a lot of indigenous Aboriginals in Australia, and she carries out this program which looks at trauma, counseling and healing. We need that. We need to also focus on the perpetrators. We just can't ignore them and put them back in society and ignore them. We need to work with them as well as the victim.
Talking to people and talking about what we wanted to achieve with Rugby League Against Violence, I started to learn the differences between what I knew from home and here. Men would stare into my eyes and nod and understand our ethos, and would, after I was done speaking, would ask, when can we do these workshops? I'm a violent man. I hit my wife, but I don't want to be this way. I want to be better. I want the tools to be better. There is that huge middle ground of men that are just ready to shift in this country. They just need the tools to do so. So how we talk about responsibility is, again, shifting that idea of what the big man is, what the warrior is. We shift that and we say, you know, what's important? How can you still be a man? Because holding on to manhood is important. To remove gender is something that we've done wrong in the past with trying to eliminate violence against women.
Based on the fact that there are good men, there are good young men, They should be the people who tell the other people, the other men and women, why it is that we should have other ways of resolving violence, response to differences.
I'd like to say that I'm a proud byproduct of an amazing father. So I'd like a really quick show of hands as to see how many people have had a male role model in their lives. Just a quick show of hands. And that's an overwhelming majority for us not to include them in the conversation going forward.
Welcome back. Our final panel discussion in this episode relates to many women and their families in Papua New Guinea, and that is to do with business. Women owning and maintaining a business in PNG plays a key role in supporting themselves and their families. It brings income, stability and development, to name a few. The art of business also involves the art of survival. Keep watching as we show you the questions and issues raised in the next panel discussion.
In the world of business, more and more women are being promoted to positions of leadership in both private and not-for-profit organizations, as well as owning and managing their own businesses. The world of business today is very different compared to a few decades ago when it was normal for men to be the breadwinner of a family, while the woman's role was to tend to the home and support her family and husband. The panel discussion with the topic Getting Women into Business was heavily discussed by the panelists and participants, with key questions being answered such as what role financial inclusion and access to capital play in spurring entrepreneurship. With 85% of the nation's population based in rural areas and half of that being women, the question is, how can women in these areas gain access to the opportunities available, and how can they be educated with the know-how to use these tools? Panelist Nuni Kulu, Bank South Pacific's area manager for the Southern region, had this to say on the matter.
Starting with basics, we need to encourage our sole traders, our women folk, the SME segment, to come and open up a bank account and put your funds in the account. Just by opening up a bank account doesn't guarantee you'll get access to capital immediately, but we feel that if we start to nurture our SME segment with the basics of a bank account and provide added service of an FPOS in their shop front or having mobile and internet banking, this introduces them into the formal banking system. And it helps their business because part of this nurturing process is to help them grow. It's about encouraging them to manage their business, separating the business entity from the personality of the owners of the business, moving away from being cash dependent, having to separate personal income from business income. Those are just basics.
While significant progress has been made in expanding access to financial services for women, there is still more that needs to be done. The overarching goal of the panel was not only to provide these tools of business, but also to pave a way for these women to enter the business arena.
Education is, to me, from at least a personal point of view, and as I see as a wearing my commissioner's hat on the Office of Higher Education, are very, very vital ingredients in every citizen's growth in our country, not only women, but far more for women on the basis that women are bearers of children. Women, once they're educated, they teach their children.
We're absolutely terrified that in fact women are making up all of the informal sector. Women's businesses need to graduate to formal. Women's businesses need to be doing well enough that they're contributing to society through taxes. Women's businesses need to be able to be doing well enough that they're paying superannuation and employing people. That is the future, we think, for women in this country, is to, on the first rung of that ladder, is to be able to easily register your business, easily comply. These are are relatively boring, I'm sorry, but they kind of matter if you want a well-functioning society where everybody benefits from growth and prosperity.
According to numerous female entrepreneurs, PNG women operate in a man's world, which makes it hard for them to do business. Successful women entrepreneurs tend to be landowners, educated, have supportive husbands and families, and have a strong character.
Welcome back. In summary, we have shown you some of the panel discussions that were featured at the PNG Women's Forum last week. This event was one of many that occurred in succession, observing women empowerment and women development in PNG. Olsem Wanem also followed Marie Stopes at Ella Beach at Port Moresby on the 8th of March for the global event, International Women's Day. And on the 9th of March, the Business and Professional Women's Club of Port Moresby held their annual breakfast fundraiser, where they place emphasis on education.
Now, Maristops Papua New Guinea started in 2006. We established in 6 provinces, of which NCD and Central Province is one. In our services, we have aesthetic center. We also have outreach services in which we move around in a mobile tent like the one you see behind me, and we provide services mainly in family planning. We have a mission statement of children by choice, not chance.
When we talk about equality to women, we talk about empowerment. Empowerment is a big word, but in family planning, it simply means that a woman can decide for herself. She can be able to choose what method she wants to use for her own body. It's a big task, but if we bring it back to the family and we start talking about family planning and deciding for ourselves as women how many children we want, with very supportive husbands, who also have one method called vasectomy, and that's a permanent method. So we have to work as partners with our husbands, with men, to make sure that we have a desired sized family so that we can progress without realizing that the spin-off benefits, or what happens without even us noticing, is that our nation is planned. You plan one family, you plan the rest of Papua New Guinea. And how inspirational that can be. So on behalf of Maristops, I'd like to wish you a happy International Women's Day. And yes, be empowered. Decide for your own reproductive choice.
What we normally do is we advocate, we promote, and we support rights for men and women to access services on sexual reproductive health. So we are here supporting the cause for that, and this is a special event of International Women's Day. We're here with all the other partners supporting the rights of women to access services, especially to do with sexual reproductive health. At Safe Motherhood Alliance, we're all about advocating on the rights of women to have supervised delivery, because we think that through supervised delivery, there's a very limited chances, or women may avoid complications of dying through childbirth or other health issues.
The world embraced International Women's Day, also called International Working Women's Day, which falls on the 8th of March every year. Now, celebrations range from an appreciation, love and respect towards women to women's political, economic and social achievements. Here at the Crown Plaza, the Business and Professional Women's Club of Port Moresby held their annual breakfast fundraiser, purposely to maintain and help young PNG women with financial difficulties with their educational studies.
Business and Professional Women's Organisation, we're made up of business professionals and other groups of women who want to influence change in PNG, especially on the gender empowerment front. All the business and professional women, we all contribute actively to the gender agenda and inspiring change in women, and a lot of us were here at the PNG Women's Forum last week as well, discussing ways in which we can get movement and inspire that and convert it into policy, especially at the decision-making levels. We've been actually fundraising for 6 years, and with the support of the Australian government as well as through ExxonMobil. So this year, we think just from looking at the figures already that we'll raise about 200, just a little bit over 200,000 kina, including the donations that we get. So we don't actually have a quota for the scholarships, so as they come in, we want to expend all the money. So from the 200,000, we'll spend all of it on scholarships this year, and next year we'll do the same breakfast fundraise for the next tranche of scholarships.
For a lot of women graduating is encouraging. I know there are a lot of women who are striving to further their education, but funding is a problem. We have government is now giving a lot of funding to the local members. You know, local members, I encourage local members to support a lot of women to go into furthering their education.
Today, on International Women's Day, I join all those who believe in the equality of all human beings. Today, we come together guided by the certainty that equality for women is progress for all. By ending women's poverty, we will sustainably and significantly reduce poverty of all people of the world. By keeping girls in school longer and offering quality education, we will ensure that more women and girls have a chance to play their full role in society, the economy, and in decision-making. By advancing equitable laws and policies and reducing structural barriers to women's economic empowerment, we will reduce inequality in our world. We need women's equal representation in leadership positions, in peacemaking, in communities, in politics, in business, and in religious institutions. This will contribute to a more peaceful and secure world in which the elimination of discrimination and violence against women is an imperative. Today, we call for change and for women around the world to continue to inspire and demand change. We also make a call to men and boys, leaders in the private sector, religious leaders, and the young people of the world to join us in a world in which men and women are treated equally. By joining together in support of women and girls, you help to solve the greatest challenges of the 21st century. It requires all of us to take a stand, to cross the line and be on the right side of history, so that the 21st century is the century for equality between boys and girls and men and women. Because equality for women is progress for all.
And that concludes this edition of Olsem Wanem. If you have any stories or issues you'd like to share, you can contact Olsem Wanem via the contact details showing on your screen. Don't forget to add us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching, take care, and until next time, enjoy the rest of your viewing on your #1 station, MTV.